Police in Guyana investigating a matter of national security involving the government MP who supported a no-confidence motion against the administration. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, January 10. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Guyana's Commissioner of Police, Leslie James, has confirmed that an investigation is underway into former government parliamentarian Chandras Prasad, who sided with the opposition in a no-confidence vote that the administration lost on December 21st last year. He says it's a matter of national security, but has so far refused to give any details. Prasad's yes vote in the no-confidence motion moved by opposition leader Bharat Jagdeo in the 65-member National Assembly resulted in it passing 33 votes to 32. The outcome has triggered a court challenge by the David Granger administration. Several allegations were made against Prasad, who left the country the day after the vote and headed to Canada, where he has citizenship. But he has denied he was paid to vote against the government. Speaking to reporters on Thursday, Commissioner James would only acknowledge that a police probe has started and evidence was being collected. But when pressed by journalists, he was tight-lipped about the details.
The investigation is ongoing, and as I said prior, it's a matter of national security.
Yeah, but how did you come to start launching investigation?
Well, at this point, that would not be disclosed publicly.
Is it credible evidence?
I cannot determine credibility of the evidence, but I'm saying at this point we're gathering evidence.
Are there any members of the force who are on investigation as part of this court?
I'm unaware of any member of the force being on investigation.
Could you say what exactly you're looking at? Is it bribery? Is it misconduct? Is it him fleeing from the country? What exactly are you looking at?
Well, whatever is established will be determined. We do not determine what is established. What we do is investigate matters and submit for legal advice.
What aspect?
What are you looking for?
What report was made?
As I said,
Is it gold smuggling?
we are at this point in time collecting evidence.
On what matter? On what subject?
A matter that's reported to us of national security importance. I will say that at this point in time.
Have you been able to?
As I said, it's a sensitive matter. Please give due regard to that.
Have you been able to speak to Mr. Prasad?
No, sir. No, I have
Are
not.
you making an attempt to contact him to get?
Once that becomes necessary, if at all, that will be done. Or we'll make efforts to do that.
In Jamaica, the administration of the Victoria Jubilee Hospital has admitted that a security breach there facilitated the abduction of a newborn from the facility on Wednesday morning. The baby was discovered missing about 5 o'clock. Hospital administration said 2 security guards were stationed at different points on the ward, but when a nurse went to report that the child was missing, the guard at the exit was not at his post, and the father of the abducted baby is demanding answers. We get the details in this TVJ News report.
This blue hat on bed 25 of Ward 4 at the Victoria Jubilee Hospital is the only thing the parents of the missing baby boy has to remember him. The child is suspected to have been abducted as he slept. Sinclair Hutton is the father.
Big hospital, nobody no see how, when, why. 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, security post 1, they no see who. Security post 2, the main entrance, nobody no see nothing. It's coming like a conspiracy. It seems to be, it's like an inside job.
According to reports, shortly after 4, the mother of the child, who was bleeding profusely, got up to use the bathroom and then...
She walk right here. Just go down to the bathroom right there, so just go change. She said when she pass right here, she pass somebody stand up at the window, and the person said to her, say, don't worry about the blood you drop. A ground man, he wipe it up. So she just rush to the bathroom. When she rush to the bathroom and come back, she don't see the lady or the person and stand up right at this window.
An alarm was made, the ward was shut down, and the police were called. Checks were carried out and all staff and patients at the hospital were accounted for. Preliminary investigations indicate that no one saw anyone leaving with a baby. And at a press briefing, the CEO at the Kingston Public Hospital, Colleen Wright, outlined that there are strict protocols for discharging a child.
When you're being discharged, you are given a discharge slip. So if you go to the security without your discharge slip, you cannot leave the hospital. The other thing is that at that hour in the morning, we would not be discharging.
So, could there have been a security breach?
Yes, because one of the measure that was put in place was that there is a security at the door. A security should be at the door entering that ward, entering and leaving that ward. So there's a security at that point, and there's a security at the entrance exit point. From reports I'm getting, when the nurse went to report to the security that the baby was missing, the security was not at the post at that time.
There was no closed-circuit CCTV cameras installed at the time of the incident. The hospital started preparations to have the cameras installed.
Over in the Bahamas, there are calls for the appointment of a Chief Justice. In an address to mark the opening of the legal year, Acting Chief Justice Vera Watkins raised concerns that an appointment has not been made since the passing of the former Chief Justice last August. She says this has implications for the proper administration of justice in the country. More in this report from ZNS Network News.
The Chief Justice post became vacant following the death of Chief Justice Stephen Isaacs last August, who also served as acting Chief Justice for some 8 months before he got the post. Watkins was confirmed as acting Chief Justice back on September of last year.
The fact that the judiciary is still without a substantive Chief Justice has been a tremendous challenge, as it is difficult for the judiciary to make any long-term plans for the future. While it may be so that I am sitting in this chair as acting Chief Justice at this moment, I am not certain as to whether I will be sitting in this chair later on today. I am not certain as to whether I will be sitting in this chair tomorrow morning, in the proverbial chair, as a result of the tenuous position in which I find myself.
The acting Chief Justice also cited the urgent need for additional judges on the civil and criminal side of the court.
There is a need for 20 judges at this present time. The judges hearing civil matters are inundated with cases. At the present time, 5 judges are assigned to civil matters. This means that there are twice as many judges hearing criminal matters.
Republic Financial Holdings Limited has given assurances that it will welcome all of Scotiabank's staff into the Republic Group following the acquisition of the Canadian bank. This would increase its staff complement to 6,000. The group gave the commitment during talks with St. Kitts and Nevis Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris and representatives of Scotiabank on Wednesday. Republic late last year announced plans to acquire Scotiabank operations in 9 Caribbean countries. But at Wednesday's meeting, Principal Advisor at Advice Financial Company Limited, Ian D'Souza, gave assurances that Scotiabank's staff would not be affected in any way. And Scotiabank's Senior Vice President of International Banking, Brendan King, said it is important to ensure there is no disruption of any kind. Chairman of Republic, Ronald Harford, anticipates an increase in profits after the acquisition from $198 million US to $270 million US. And Nicolas Maduro sworn in again as Venezuela's president. That story and more after the break.
really a fan of 90s R&B, you might recognize this young lady to my left from one of the dopest groups from back in the day, Ex-Girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
That's her trademark right there. Yeah.
This was from the 90s.
So, wait, is that a cassette single?
Yes, this is a cassette.
Now
we were produced by Full Force.
This is not any regular festival where you just come to hear music. This is a diverse festival, the one and only of its kind, where we have music on display, we have our food, but we have so much of our culture. And right now, we also have some arts and crafts on display, and we're here with the Dominica Arts and Crafts Producers Association, DACPA, naturally Dominican. Good night, tell us your name and tell us what you have on display for people to purchase.
Nicolas Maduro has been sworn in as Venezuela's president for a second term. His swearing-in ceremony occurred despite international criticism that his re-election was illegitimate. The re-inauguration took place before the country's Supreme Court instead of its opposition-run Congress, which has been stripped of its power since Maduro's ruling Socialist Party lost control of it in 2016. The May 2018 polls were marred by an opposition boycott and vote rigging claims. In a speech after his swearing-in, Maduro claimed 94 countries had sent representatives to his inauguration. He vowed to continue the legacy of the late President Hugo Chavez and accused the United States of trying to ignite unrest through its increasing economic sanctions. The U.S. and 13 other countries in the Americas said last week they would not recognize Maduro's presidency, but the socialist leader said his new 6-year term was a step of peace for the country. Security forces were stationed in the capital and other cities as opposition groups called for pot banging and sounding of horns in protest during the ceremony. The Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago is issuing a warning Police Commissioner Gary Griffith over his so-called one-shot, one-kill policy. It says while it agrees with the use of force policy, it has reminded the top cop and his officers that they must act within the law. We get more in this report from Melissa Williams-Zambrano of CNC3 News.
Days after a war of words erupted between Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith and Criminal Defense Attorney Wayne Sturge over the one-shot, one-kill policy, the Law Association is urging caution and restraint on all sides over the issue. In a statement, the Council of the Law Association says the top cop is correct in asserting the right of police officers to use deadly force in self-defense when fired upon. The association adds a police officer who is about to be attacked does not have to wait for the suspect to strike the first blow or shot. But in its statement, it says police officers do not have a blanket authorization for a shoot-to-kill policy in law. It says the use of deadly force must always be proportionate to the threat posed to the police officer. It says while it understands Commissioner Griffith's defense of officers, it is concerned that his overly strident attack on those who he perceives to be critics of his one-shot, one-kill policy may have the tendency to upset the delicate balance which the law seeks to instill. Referring to the social media spat with Attorney Wayne Sturge, the association says the top cop responded disparagingly and must remember the right to freedom of expression from the public. The Law Association adds Commissioner Griffith may be setting himself up as being unaccountable to the public, who must now deign to criticize his stewardship. It ends by warning that sending the wrong signal to police officers is dangerous, as they could potentially ignore their lawful obligations.
Still in the Twin Island Republic, one Rastafarian NGO has presented recommendations to government on the way forward for cannabis laws in the Twin Island Republic. This follows a promise by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley that cannabis reform legislation will be taken before Parliament by June. We get the story from TV6 News.
Rastafarian NGO All Mansions of Rastafari plans to present the government with a proposal for its debate on cannabis reform. The position paper will put forth 10 major recommendations, some to be executed immediately and others when cannabis prohibition is lifted. Speaking during a press conference in Diego Martin on Wednesday, attorney Jesse Daniel called for an immediate directive to be issued to law enforcement officers. as he says too many youths are being arrested for minor marijuana-related offenses.
We are calling the government and say, given that you have already taken the position that's going to change, let us now call for a moratorium where the police can be given a directive to at least seize the arrest of young persons, not just young people, but anyone with quantities under a certain amount in their possession.
Some of the other recommendations are the expunging of the records of all persons who have been convicted of cannabis-related offenses and served their sentences, the granting of special concessions to small farmers and businessmen to be included in the industry to come, the protection of the rights of Rastafarians to use cannabis as a holy sacrament, the recognition by the government of the atrocities perpetrated against Rastafarians through the enforcement of prohibition, as well as reparatory justice to take the form of the following.
Firstly, a grant of 150 acres of land for the benefit of the Rastafarian community in Trinidad and Tobago. That is to plant, to build industry, to take part in the commercial opportunities that will emerge as cannabis becomes legal. A percentage of the proceeds from the new cannabis industry to be used for the development of the Rastafarian community.
For Bubu Shanti priest Ainsley of Zion, the establishment of an inclusive industry will have significant social benefits like lower crime rates and job creation. He said the country has already wasted too much time and money trying to suppress a plant that can be used to bring life to this country's economy.
You know how much money it takes for a helicopter to fly with the gas and everything, and then they show it in the paper, and they're burning up the herbs, like they say, yeah. And they glory. What kind of society are we living in? It's herbs, it's the Almighty God. Grow that.
It was also revealed that Amor will be holding a pro-cannabis rally on January 27th at Skinner Park in San Fernando.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, Cricket West Indies directors square off over the choice of a head coach for the men's senior squad. Stay with us. Sport is next.
You're watching Caribbean Vibrations TV, and we're here at the beautiful Petition Hill development, speaking with the executive chef of Belmont Farm, Chef Christophe. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you.
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for that amazing spread that you gave to us. Everything is so fresh, so natural. Tell us about the farm program you guys have here.
Well, it's really based on the ingredients that are grown on the farm. So we base all the menu around what's available seasonally around the farm.
Barbados, renowned for its pristine beachfront and fantastic weather, continues to leave quite an impression on newcomers to the island and returning visitors. The Caribbean island, quite popular as a vacation hotspot, is not only beautiful due to its natural aesthetics. The island of Barbados continues to grow in popularity because of unique connections developed with our people, our culture. We can't wait to welcome you.
We have Chef Manfred Schmidtke. He's already up there on the set.
Yes, and he's our head judge, our chief judge.
Our chief judge, and joining them, of course, will be Chef Antonel Bayer. So lots and lots of prizes they'll be battling for here in the culinary arena. And this is fantastic to see the enthusiasm of these young students here, these young culinarians, as they get going in the culinary arena.
Chef Nikita, what is happening there at Trinidad and Tobago?
Trinidad and Tobago seems to have already started the start.
You know, most Americans probably don't even realize that the phrase blowing your stack actually dates back to the early days of Queen Victoria, when she would blow her stack every single day.
People will always respond more to a model. The model-made feel is inherent in the whole of the model engines. My job was to make the 25th scale model of the Jenny Hanover.
Cricket West Indies directors Enoch Lewis and Conde Riley have sparred publicly over the recent choice of Richard Pybus for senior men's head coach, further increasing the rancor surrounding the Englishman's appointment less than 2 weeks before the opening test against England. Lewis has been highly critical of Pybus' selection and wrote to CWI last month, lambasting the way the selection process was carried out while accusing President Dave Cameron of handpicking him for the job. But Riley, the Barbados Cricket Association president, defended Pybus's appointment, rubbishing Lewis's claims and contending that CWI board had sanctioned the move. Riley said during a stormy exchange with Lewis on the popular cricket radio show Mason and Guest, broadcast on the Starcom network in Barbados, and I quote, "On the 9th of December, this whole matter was ventilated at a board meeting in Trinidad. It was put to the vote. I do not know what more due process should be followed when a full board, including the 12 directors from the 6 territories, along with the 2 independent directors, voted. The president had 1 vote." Riley continued, the board ventilated a whole thing as to who should be interim coach. There was a vote. The vote was 12-4, and that was how Mr. Pybus became the interim coach, end quote. But Riley's assertion was rejected by Lewis, who said the issue was about the fact that the board, along with the director of cricket, Jimmy Adams, and the CWI Cricket Committee had been excluded from Pybus's recruitment, reiterating what he stated in his frank letter of complaint to CWI. Lewis said that after Cameron had determined that negotiations with the board-approved candidate Nick Potas had broken down, the Jamaican administrator had head-hunted Pybus and negotiated and concluded a deal including salary without any prior authorization from the CWI board. And legendary former captain Clive Lloyd has lamented the snubbing of fellow West Indies icon Desmond Haynes for the post of men's head coach. He says it's unfortunate that great former players continued to be ignored for the position. Lloyd said Cricket West Indies had tried foreign coaches over the years without much success and needed to tap into the talents of homegrown stars. He added, quote, "What I would like to see in the future of our cricket is people like Gordon Greenidge, who has coached all over the place, and Desmond Haynes. Given a chance, these guys know about cricket and our cricketers, and they are not getting a chance to show what talents they have. And I think it's about time we start to do something of that nature. We've tried a lot of overseas coaches, and we're still at number 8 in tests and number 9 in one-dayers." End quote. Now, Haynes was one of several regional coaches identified by Director of Cricket Jimmy Adams to fill the post left vacant by the resignation of Australian Stuart Law. Meanwhile, former West Indies assistant coach Floyd Reefer is making a pitch for the job as permanent head coach of West Indies cricket. He was speaking with CBC's Mark Seal.
It's been a couple of weeks now since Floyd Reefer received what would have been disappointing news for him, that he wouldn't be the West Indies coach for the upcoming tour by the English here in the Caribbean. But a few days into the new year, he's already here at the 3Ws Oval taking some cricketers through their paces. And he's still thinking that he's the right man for the job.
I think I definitely can make a difference. University have prepared me for the last 11 years. Coaching and working at university have prepared me for this occasion. So I'm fully ready. I'm fully committed to the job. I know I've been working with a lot of the young guys before. I know them very well. We have built a solid relationship, and not only with guys from Barbados, but all through the Caribbean. Even with the 18s playing against them, and when it was a little young and stuff, they were not coming into cricket. So I was on my way outside, played against some of them as well. But I am fully ready for the job. So
Floyd, how did it feel being left out of the England tour after that successful series win in the T20 series in Bangladesh?
We know how people do things in the Caribbean. Some people are not as professional as they should be in terms of dealing with people, but we do understand how it goes. So, I have no bitterness, no bitter feeling about it. Like I said before, I was just continue my work and continue to improve myself as a coach and continue to help young people, because these boys need a lot of help.
Many players, ex-players and administrators have expressed their satisfaction in what Coach Reefer has accomplished. None more though than his agent, PRO, and his wife, Amanda, who attributes the foundation of Floyd's success to family life.
We set targets, and he's done exceedingly more than what we would have targeted. To win a series in Bangladesh, that T20 series was absolutely phenomenal. We have a lot of pride in the Reefer family. You know, it is a cricket family. So we are very excited about his future. And I'm 100% sure that when the interviews do come, not only will he be shortlisted, but he will be selected based on credibility, based on his qualifications, based on what he has proven without a shadow of a doubt why he should be the head coach or the next head coach, permanent for the West Indies team.
And that's for sports. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You know, most Americans probably don't even realize that the phrase blowing your stack actually dates back to the early days of Queen Victoria, when she would blow her stack every single day.
People will always respond more to a model. The model-made feel is inherent in the whole of the model engines. My job was to make the 25th scale model of the Jenny Hanover.
Again, the major developments of this day: police in Guyana investigating a matter of national security involving the government. MP who supported a no-confidence motion against the administration. And in sport, Cricket West Indies directors Enoch Lewis and Conde Riley spar publicly over the choice of Richard Pybus as senior men's head coach. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, subscribe to CarlinNews.com. For more of our programming, log on to caribvision.tv and check out our YouTube channel. We'll be back here again tomorrow, but for all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good night.